Hello, everyone. This is Alan Fine. I am here with Paul Barry, the CEO of Avanti, and we're going to talk about tours and a lot more on Insider Travel Report. Let's start with, please, what are the newest destinations?
The newest destinations for 2020 are add-on destinations to some of our popular and existing ones. Morocco, an area that has attracted American tourists a lot recently. It's considered an exciting new Northern African destination, but it's been very much touched by Europe. And the growth in interest in it, as you can see by the airlines adding non-stop service next year, with American Airlines adding non-stop service, and Royal Air Maroc also adding additional non-stop service. So the demand is certainly there for that destination. St. Petersburg has been added because it's a visa-free destination for stays of 3 nights or less. Mm-hmm. And as a part of the Baltic Triangle between Helsinki, Tallinn and St. Petersburg, it's a must-see destination. Mm-hmm. And in addition to that, Mongolia, a massive geographic area, but one, obviously the home of Genghis Khan, is its probably historical most popular or well-known destination. Right. But in addition, it's got a lot of natural and unexplored geography that is of great interest in this ever-changing world.
So I myself got to experience your partnership with tourist offices, Visit Britain, but I know you're also working with Finland, Japan, South Korea, and Italy to not just visit the big cities, but then diverge off into the little experiences. Tell us about that, please.
Sure. Part of tourism today is learning to find the undiscovered parts of the country.
It's the fun part.
To me, it's the fun part. And we had an example recently on our partnership with Visit Britain, where some of our travel consultants went to visit the undiscovered or less well-known, let me put it that way, parts of Britain. They went to London, but they didn't stay in central London. They stayed in Greenwich. And learned a little bit more about the emerging areas that exist around the major cities. They then went up to stay in Durham, Carlisle, Chester. These are places tourists don't typically go. They had an unbelievable time, didn't understand what there is to see. That's for an example in Britain. In Italy, our top-selling destination, the growth into the regions in Piedmont, in Sicily has been tremendous this last year, and we're adding more and more product, and the customers are coming back with fabulous reviews because they're often the only tourists that are there. Mm-hmm. Or they're very, very few and far between, and it brings back that authentic tourism experience that people yearn for. And for instance, out of Rome, we do sightseeing to some of the less traveled sites, churches, historical places that are not written about yet in the guidebooks. And so it's discovering the undiscovered parts of the countries.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things you started last year was to get people to travel in the off-season, the Go 365 program. How's that working?
The numbers are terrific from that. It's a general trend that's happening within the industry, is that with, again, the growth of worldwide tourism, especially from the emerging economies, during the peak seasons, there are difficulties in really getting to see and stay in some of the major tourist destinations. So there's a recognition that you can have a great experience by traveling during the less travel times of the year. And so the growth of that is an example. For instance, the Amalfi Coast is one of our popular destinations. The hotels used to close from April. They only used to open from April to October. That season's been extended now from March through to even Christmas till after New Year, so that they're only closed now for 8 weeks as people are now traveling during an extended period of time. And it's when some of the mass market tourism is no longer there that people are being able to have their own personalized experience, sometimes unescorted, but there are less crowds then.
It's almost like load bearing and keeping from over tourism.
That's absolutely right. It's very, very obvious. It's simple. It's go where the crowds are not sometimes, and you get just as great an experience enjoying the town or village or city when it's less travelled. Finding the best experience means during the peak season finding the local guides and the best guides, and that requires...
Which you always want.
You always want, and they are local in all of the destinations we offer. We work with our local partners in those countries to only get the best guides, and we're very, very selective and our partners in doing so to get the best experience. And you need to book those months in advance for most of the major tourist destinations these days. Mm-hmm. Traveling off-peak, they are available then during the off-peak times of the year at shorter notice. Mm-hmm. And with the better, obviously, airfares and the better hotel pricing during the less travel times of the year, the off-season travel is becoming more and more compelling.
Great. Let's talk about, you started the custom groups business, and how is that going? I know that travel advisors were looking forward to that.
They were. It had been much requested many years before I got involved in Avanti several years ago. And it took a while for us to plan and put together a custom group department. And it's been very successful. It was launched just a year ago, right. Around October 1. And in its first year, we've travelled nearly 100 custom tour groups to all different parts of the world. Some that we don't even offer for independent travellers. And we're looking forward to 2020, and we expect to at least double that number going forward. And it has fitted in exactly with what Avanti does for the individual traveller in providing total customization. They're all closed-end groups, whether they're family groups, which are very, very common, and various affinity groups related sometimes around to special interest, religion, alumni, or going to a sporting event. We've done groups who special interests as quilting in Ireland.
Film tourism?
We have done a little bit of film tourism. We've done another one, a junior basketball team to China. Wow. And sports fans going to the Rugby World Cup in Japan. Ooh. So there's all different types of special groups out there. We don't offer any open-ended groups. The groups are pre-existing and have their own special reasons for traveling and wanting to be with each other.
Right. How would you address the news about Cox and Kings and about Thomas Cook, and what lessons are there to be learned there?
Oh, that's a very long question, or my answer would be very long if I was to go into detail. The lesson is to work with the trusted travel companies, work with companies that have been around, right. And Cox and Kings have been around a while, but I think part of the reasons is staying within your channel and your lane as a business and trying to grow too quickly sometimes is not the best way as a business is to grow. And Avanti, we're very much only a B2B. We only work through travel agents. We don't try to be all things to all people. And the growth that we're experiencing, I'm trying to manage that growth on a manageable basis in terms of adding destinations and slowly adding product. And trying to have Avanti be operating out of in England or other English-speaking markets, Australia, it's not something that we're going to do at all. It's in the near future anyway. It would all be managed and controlled growth, so we can make sure we operate on the highest service levels. Other examples of some of those very, very large multi-billion-dollar companies is they grew, again, too quickly, but they grew through debt and through private equity, and I've never been a fan of private equity.
That's good to hear. Okay.
I've worked with them in the past in a couple of advisory fronts, and it's not a area. It's too risky for me.
You are growing though, and because you're growing, you are training your people, and you're making sure that they're traveling and they're experiencing Avanti. Let's talk about that a little bit. Sure. Education.
Sure. This year we are sending the over 125 of our travel consultants abroad and overseas to experience the Avanti product, to understand exactly what our customers experience when they're traveling. It's been a very positive experience for the staff, and it's a part of who we are as a company. We're a travel company. We want our staff, even some of our back office staff, to experience travel, and it's been very energizing for the staff, and it helps grow as our mission statement, which is related to using technology and our educated staff to grow the company, to deliver a unique custom experience. So that's been good for us, and it's added on to the request that we've had from the travel agent community. The number one request the last 5 years is, when are you doing Australia, New Zealand? We feel as though we're at the stage right now where, with the growth of the company the last few years, which has been consistent growth, we can set up a new division within the company in terms of product development, building and servicing of doing Australia, New Zealand, and teaching and recruiting staff who know those areas. So it's been
you're ready now.
We're planning.
Okay.
We're ready, but it's not going to launch until the third quarter of 2020. Okay. So it's not something we're rushing into and suddenly saying it's going to happen tomorrow. No. We'll be recruiting and hiring staff now, so they are ready.
You want to do it right.
We want to do it right. And again, it's the consistent, steady growth that and providing that consistent, steady customer experience and product that our travel agents want for their customers. We like to provide great customer service. It's part of who we are as a business. And there's been several examples this month of September. There's been natural disasters with the hurricanes. Well, we don't sell the Bahamas or Florida, but they impacted our travelers. We were able to reroute 50 plus to 100 travelers ahead of the hurricane, work with our airline partners, and we rerouted so many travelers that their vacations were uninterrupted.
About flexibility.
Flexibility and working quickly.
Right.
Another example of that was the British Airways announced strike earlier in the month. Is we were able to find out exactly which of our customers would be impacted ahead of the strike. We were ready to go. And again, we rebooked most of those passengers. In fact, we rebooked all of them on alternative flights within the ticketing allowance that we had already got in advance of everybody else ahead of that period. Mm-hmm. And we had one individual example where we had one customer who was due to go on a cruise. Again, the travel agents had booked their cruises, and then they booked the rest of the trip with Avanti. Right. And they'd booked their flight from London to Barcelona. Barcelona went on strike, so their flight was cancelled. Well, we were able to text the customer in London in the middle of their theatre show. Oh, wow. And told them that we'd have an answer for their alternative by the end of the show. Nothing that we had booked. Mm-hmm. But you were there. We were there for them. We ended up flying them to Madrid, arranging a train out of Madrid so they could get to Barcelona to take their family cruise together that they had booked separately. It's nothing to do with us. We hadn't booked the flight London to Barcelona or the cruise. But we knew from the transfers, etc., that the services were required.
The guests were happy, but the travel advisor was really happy.
The travel advisor was very happy, and the guest was incredibly grateful that their main part of their trip was going to be uninterrupted. And we were happy to provide that service.
So one thing, we're going out to 96,000 travel advisors, and what do you want them to know, other than the fact that you work exclusively with them and that it's all commissionable?
The experience that we hope that the travel agents get with Avanti is going to continue to improve. We have an improved agent portal, so agents can start their booking online and then call in and help us customize the travel trip for their individual customers. Mm-hmm. So we're improving our technology. We own our own technology, and it has been a great enhancement to the customer service. We're providing, and for next year we plan on offering a 24/7 customer service guarantee with our products, so that no matter where they are in the world, there is somebody to call in case there are. With individual travel, there's always a train delay. As we're in New York today, and we know what that's like. It happens in every city. There's flight delays due to natural disasters, weather delays. Is that we can make sure that the customers are well cared for, and also we're keeping to our commitment. We only keep within selling to travel agents. We're not interested, and never will be, while I'm at Avanti, of selling direct to the consumer. That is not who we are. We want to support the travel agent community. They are our bread and butter, and we want to make sure that we can keep that going forward and provide the consistent level of service.
Make them look good.
Make them look good. We know travel agents can't be jack of all trades. They're masters sometimes of a few. Cruises, different escorted tours, maybe some have geographic specialties, but we can be their trusted advisor for doing that independent travel in independent groups, and we look forward to servicing them that and providing a good level of service and a good commission to them.
Thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you, and thank you all.
This is Alan Fine for Insider Travel Report.